Your Highness! Your Highness!
Louis called Ruiqi tenderly. Princess Ruiqi was back to the thoughts and nodded slightly to Louis. She felt a little embarrassed.
Your Highness, would you please tilt your head slightly to the left?
Louis said to the princess with a smile. Louis was good at observation. He found that today's princess' mood was obviously different from the previous 2 times. Although the princess did not speak a lot before, but there was always a bright light in her eyes. But at the moment, it seemed like a thick layer of fog covers the lively little sunshine. This made it difficult for Louis to continue to portray her features.
Your Highness, I have a picture album which recorded my daily life in France. There are many interesting stories in it. Do you want to have a look?
Louis wanted to make her laugh and took out this picture album in a wooden box and handed it to the princess. The princess knew that Louis understood she had something on her mind. She wanted to refuse, but because of her bad condition today, Louis could not complete the painting in time. She felt guilty and took over the album in Louis' hands.
Your Highness, look! This is the dress worn by our French princess. The upper part of the dress is a slimmer, and the lower part is made by the stiff fabrics. The dress is large enough to hide a child. I tried once. I have sneaked out of the manor under the maid dress.
Said Louis. He approximately indicated the side of the dress with his hands and drawing the details in the sketchbook. Princess Ruiqi was infected by Louis' sense of humor, and she gradually let go of her guard with a lovely smile. Louis went to the table on the other side of the room and took out a delicate jewelry box from the drawer. It was an antique and red velvet jewelry box. It had a felted design reflected on the top, middle, and base. The top and base were white silk lined and padded with red silk detailed tiny buttons. The top and mounted pin coin and a floral reticulate mantle decoration.
Your Highness, look! This is my mother jewelry box. The box and the lid are connected by copper only. It's very convenient, and far as I know, the building materials of Chinese tables and chairs do not employ copper and silver. The joint of the construction was all connected by the wood. You call this, let me think,
With his head titled, he put one hand in front of his forehead. His eyebrows were tightened, thinking hard about the word. Ruiqi was amused by the Louis' funny facial expression, completely put down those tedious rules and busted into laughter.
That's a mortise and tenon structure.
Yes, yes!
Louis signed with both hands on his thighs.
Please pass me a pencil.
Ruiqi took the pencil from Louis and illustrating the mortise and the tenon structure in Louis' sketchbook, explaining that
the mortise and tenon structure refers to a combination of bamboos and joint used to 2 wood members. This is main structure form of ancient Chinese architecture, furniture, and other wooden equipment. You see like this.
Oh, what a genius design! I need to make a memo when I return to France. I would like to apply this technique to build such a palace for my mother.
Louis scribbled in his mother language and quickly recorded. Ruiqi watched Louis was recording it carefully. She held his mother's jewelry box in her hands and looked up and down with curiosity. She asked gently to him,
Do you miss your mom, Louis?
Louis suddenly stopped and looked at Princess Ruiqi, but the lost eyes were hidden in the next moment.
Of course I miss my mother. I have been here for almost 6 months. I don't know how is she doing in France alone.
Ruiqi slowly raised her hands, patted Louis's shoulder carefully and said,
I miss my mom too.
Louis lowered his head and put his hands on both sides of the bench. Ruiqi said gently,
I remember that I was 7 years old. I sneaked out of Yukon Palace where I lived because of fun. However, I have lost my way. My mother had not seen me come back, so she had dispatched many maids and eunuchs to find me. In the meanwhile, I didn't dare to shout for kid help because it was a scandal for royal member if the other knew. They had not found me until the early morning of the next day at a dry well in a remote area near place. While they were nearly approaching me, dramatically, the queen was talking a work from off the garden behind. You know, she was the most powerful woman in charge of all the issues happening here. She was so angry and commanded her servants to kill my maid, Ling Ling, who grew up with me. All the fault was contributed to the poor girl just because she had not taken good care of me. I cried so hard and begged the queen to release the girl, but no one could change the queen's cold heart, and my mother was involved in she had to kneel on the cold ground for 1 week because of the punishment. By coincidence, we met my third brother and fourth son of House Jiang, Jiang Ye. They were on their way to the school. Jiang Ye was trying to please the queen for me. He said, in the school, Ruiqi heard that there was a kind of really blue flower growing on the hill behind the palace. She wanted to pick it up for your grace as a gift because she knew your grace was very fond of her. That's the reason she secretly sneaked out.
Louis was listening rapidly. Ruiqi went to say,
Although Jiang Ye had interceded for me, there was still no way to save my maid. And since the punishment, my mother had a severe pneumonia. Eventually, she died shortly after.
Ruiqi wiped the tears with the corner of her clothes and tried to squeeze out a smile and said,
This is my life. I must obey all the suffocating court manners, and I count against them.